tonight, for this whole month of May, we're doing beginning herbalism classes. This is the second week. The first week was basically just to kind of get people excited about using herbs. The whole point of this series is not to make you some kind of like brilliant formulation herbalist. It's just to teach you that herbs are super simple to use and incredibly beneficial, and to learn what types of herbs that you can use yourself safely and effectively and not have to worry about specific combinations and formulas and things of that nature. So tonight we're going to talk about some properties of herbs, some of the main properties of herbs, some of which you will be familiar with, the terms you've heard before. Some will sound like total foreign language, which they are because they're mostly Latin or Greek, so it actually is another language. But we're really going to focus on a couple different types of herbs. I'm really going to focus in on nutritive herbs, and I'll probably spend the majority of the night talking about tonic herbs, Chinese tonic herbs. Basically, for a very simple reason. The Chinese have studied plants for 5,000 years, and they said, hey, these are the best things you could ever possibly put in the human body, and they've been researching it forever. So we're gonna trust their knowledge, and they're just, well, we'll get into more of that later, but I get really excited about Chinese tonic herbs. So the first, just real quick, just some of the properties of herbs, and as always, if you have any questions, just throw up your hand, we'll answer it right away. A lot of herbs have either a heating or a cooling effect. A lot of you might have experienced that with cayenne pepper, everybody's favorite, right? I mean, I'm a huge cayenne pepper, and I love hot stuff. Right? Stuff that fires you up. Stuff that fires you up increases your circulation. I have a formula, for example, called Digestive Fire that is amazing for stimulating your juices and your gastric juices to help you with digestive issues. But then there's other herbs that have more of a cooling effect. A lot of bitters, like grape bitters, peppermint, things like that have a cooling effect or a soothing effect. And then there's a lot of stuff that's in the middle too. Okay, but not a lot of herbs are at the extremes. Okay, I gave a couple examples of extremes. Would be peppermint would be the extreme on one end, and cayenne would be the extreme on the other. But most herbs fall in between. But that's important to know because, like when I'm working with people, for example, if people have digestive issues, one of the most common things I ask people is, do you normally run hot or do you normally run cold? Some people are balanced, but for the most part, most people either run hot or run cold. So if you think about yourself, you can probably know if you run hot or run cold. I tend to run cold, so I like the heat. I also lived in Las Vegas for 7 years, so I'm getting really excited for the next 3 months. But if people run cold, where they're cold a lot, you really want to give them the heating herbs, the hot herbs, to warm their body, to warm their system, to increase circulation, to fire up their digestion. On the opposite end of that, if people run hot all the time, you want to give them cooling herbs to benefit their digestion, which would be things like bitters, like grape bitters. Okay? The 5 tastes. We think of, well, all the tastes are important. All the tastes stimulate digestion. Unfortunately, we're very heavy on one of these 5 tests in America. Can anybody guess what that one is?
Salty.
Sweet.
Sweet, definitely number 1. Salty, definitely a fairly close second, but definitely sweet. What taste do you think we're missing most from the American diet?
Bitter.
Absolutely bitter. What taste of the 5 do you think is the least important of the 5? Not that they're not all important.
Sweet.
Sweet, exactly. So we're completely backwards in America when it comes to our taste buds. So many people, they don't like healthy foods. Not to generalize, but they don't like healthy foods in general because we have such a taste for sweet, and that sweet taste completely dulls our senses. And when we put things in our mouth that normally would be good for us, our body rejects them, or our mind rejects them, I should say, because we're so addicted to sweet substances. I know people literally who don't like the taste of water. That's because all they do is drink soda and milk and things that are so acidic and so sweet that when they drink water, their body just doesn't like it. It's not used to it. It's foreign to the body. So we really need to work on getting away from the sweet. And, I stand up here and say that, having grown up and been a sugar addict for the first 30 years of my life and still working on it. 99% better than I used to be, but still working on it. It's a constant struggle, okay? But understand that it's the taste we need the least in our culture, and what we need the most in our culture is bitters. So, highly, highly recommend changing your taste buds by putting better foods in your body and really putting more bitter foods in your body, because nothing is going to strengthen your constitution and your digestion better than starting eating more bitter foods. So food-wise, we're talking what? We're talking mustard greens and turnips and radishes and kale and some of these kind of things that have some bite to them, okay? And kind of getting away from some of the sweet things.
How about hops? Hops would be a good one, right?
Yeah, it depends on in what form. I'm not sure where you're going with that one. So, pungent herbs would be spicy herbs, like what I was talking about with the cayenne pepper. Just to give you the example, this if anybody has digestive problems, I have this formula I created called Digestive Fire. And I'll tell you what the ingredients are, and you can understand why I call it Digestive Fire. I use fresh ginger root, fresh garlic, and then I add powdered cayenne pepper, powdered horseradish, and powdered turmeric. Okay, it is very, very, very powerful. And we actually add a little bit of maca into it because it's a slightly sweet root vegetable, and it kind of tones it down a little bit, but still has the same effect. Because I have people that wouldn't be able to take it if I didn't do that. But talk about getting your gastric juices flowing. Just to give you one example, I had a young guy, mid-20s, and he had been to 4 different gastroenterologists and couldn't, quote-unquote, diagnose what his problem was, but he had horrible, horrible digestive problems. And I gave him that Digestive Fire, and he's like, I'm good. I don't have any problems with any foods I eat anymore. And it was that simple, because we need things to stimulate our digestion. Other cultures do that. Other cultures, they take in French it was apéritif, but some kind of like we did sherry before meals. In Greece it might be like olives, which is salty. Something before meal to stimulate digestion. We run to the drive-thru and we immediately get a burger in our mouth. Okay, that's not setting the best stage for digestion. Okay, what's that?
A little pasties.
A little what?
Pasties.
Pasties? I don't know what that is. Sorry.
Vaughn, so you don't have to worry about them with the spicy herbs hurting your stomach or aggravating it, I guess?
It's a great question. If you have digestive problems, especially if you have a really weak or sensitive digestion, like ulcers, things of that nature, you're probably going to have problems with spicy foods. However, the spicy foods aren't the problem. It's the person's intestinal tract and the strength of their intestinal tract, because it's an absolute fact that cultures who eat highly spicy foods have 0 to very, very little rates of digestive problems, cancer, stomach cancers, ulcers, things of that nature. They just don't get them. People in Mexico, people from India. Asha, where are you from?
North Carolina.
No, but don't you have Indian heritage? I mean, is that not true that they eat a lot of spices and they have very few digestive problems or stomach cancers and things like that? Or do you know?
I suspect you're right, but I don't.
Okay. Well, spicy foods are fantastic for your digestion if you can handle them. Doesn't mean everybody can handle them. Okay? So, and actually, ironically, cayenne pepper is healing things for the intestinal tract. Okay, we're not going to really go in depth about cayenne pepper, but just doing cayenne pepper can alleviate constipation. Cayenne pepper can heal ulcers. You need it. Oh, sorry. I thought you wanted my tea.
When I was talking about hops, I actually really did. I was being sincere. I wasn't.
Oh, okay.
Because I'm a home brewer, and I use like a lot of hops, and I use the whole hops, and all natural ingredients, and I mean it really makes good bitter beer.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
I think that's got to be.
That's cool.
Well, I don't know if it's healthy, but I think it is.
Yeah, hops are fine. Hops is going to fit one of the classification of herbs we're going to talk about, a nervine, something that's naturally calming and relaxing to the nervous system, which is the effect that beer has, right? So yeah, there's benefits to hops, absolutely. Let's see, salty herbs. Okay, so we talked a lot about the pungent herbs. That's your spicy stuff. The salty herbs are really going to help with fluid balance in the body and benefiting the kidneys, for example. They're great for the adrenals, kidney, and bladder. The adrenals, we've done classes on. You need salt. You need salty foods to heal the adrenals. So salty foods are very beneficial for that. A lot of people crave salt. If you crave salt, that's fine. You need a good quality sea salt. You don't need a bag of Lay's potato chips. So you just have to be careful where you're getting your salt from, okay? That salt craving is real, but you want to, satisfy that intelligently. Okay, I saw some people laughing. So you know what I'm talking about. But there's nothing wrong with craving salt. People think that that's like a really horrible thing. It's not, okay? But think about it, we don't get a lot of healthy, salty foods in our diet. People who live in coastlines, they eat a lot of seaweeds and sea vegetables and things like that. They get a lot of those natural salty foods. We don't. We get our salt, unfortunately, from manufactured processed foods that throw tons of processed salt in there. It's what throws us so out of balance. Sour herbs, very cooling, drying. Schisandra berries is one of my favorite. We'll talk more about that when we talk about adaptogenic herbs. But they tighten and tone. Okay, that's what sour herbs do. Pretty obvious, right? When you eat something sour, okay, tightens and tones, right? You suck on a lemon, what happens? You're tightened and toned immediately. Like, okay. So Amla berries, a lot of foods that are high in vitamin C will have that effect. That it's astringency. It's called it's an astringent effect. It tightens and tones the muscles and the tissues. Also very good for digestion. Bitter herbs, like I said, I think they're the most. The herbs that are most missing from the American culture and that we need to kind of reincorporate. You can take that in a supplement form. I don't know how many people would do this, but dandelions are super duper free all over the place, and they're one of the most bitter things you can possibly put in your mouth. And I pick them when I'm on a bike ride, and I take them home and I throw it in my smoothie. Or you can just eat them.
The greens are
the greens, the flowering top, which is actually the highest herbal source of lecithin, so it's great for bile and the gallbladder and the liver. It's stimulating digestion and breaking up fat in the body and reducing cholesterol and cleansing the blood. And dandelion is one of the most healing herbs on the planet.
I actually have a dandelion beer that I'm brewing right now.
Nice.
I'm serious.
Dandelion beer and dandelion wine. Dandelion wine's been around for thousands of years. Absolutely, absolutely. So that'd be a healthier choice, I think.
Oh yeah, cool.
So cool. So yes.
You were mentioning smoothies. Is that a good way to take herbs?
It is. Yeah. Now the bitter herbs, I'll admit that they can kind of throw off the taste of a shaker smoothie because they are bitter, and because they stimulate digestion, I think it's best to do something bitter 10 minutes before a meal. Okay, that's a good general rule of thumb. So you got your dandelion, you got your digestive bitters, something like that. Do that as kind of like an appetizer, okay, to stimulate digestion and get things flowing and get things moving. But they're also fantastic on an empty stomach because they're so beneficial and healing to the body. If you incorporate more bitters into your life on a daily basis, you might not like that at first. Eventually, your body chemistry will start to change a little bit, and some of your sweet cravings will start to disappear when you get more balanced. Because we're so used to yo-yoing back and forth in America between salty and sweet, and everything else gets kind of left out.
When you talk about aloe, do you eat the skin too? Because that's
With what?
The aloe.
The aloe?
The skin.
The aloe, I'll put a whole leaf off and throw it in a smoothie and eat the whole thing. But most people do an aloe vera juice.
Yeah, because I know you can eat the jelly part is inside.
Yep.
And the bitter part is the skin. And I understand you don't.
The whole thing is bitter. I mean.
I have it.
Yeah, unless you have a Vitamix or something that can blend it up really good. Yeah, I wouldn't eat the outside. Yeah, but My dad and I had an experience. We have an aloe plant in there, and he cut off a leaf, and we both tasted it. It was the most
Yeah, but I understand you're not supposed to.
crazy,
eat the skin.
bitter thing I've ever eaten in my whole life. What's that?
But I understand that you don't have to eat the skin.
Right. Right. No, you don't.
Okay.
No, absolutely
That's
not.
the bitter part.
Right. No, the whole thing's bitter.
No.
It's not just the skin.
I have it. I don't
Oh,
know.
that's fine. Maybe you're more used to it. I mean, you know, you probably come from a culture that eats more of those types of things. Maybe? No?
Not really there. I eat a lot.
Okay.
More in Mexico.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people I know from Mexico eat a lot of aloe. Yeah. So, okay, and then
Where's aloe? In what category is aloe?
bitter. Very bitter. One of the nicknames of aloe is the king of the bitters.
Oh, I should.
Yeah, very, very bitter.
They suffered all day.
Oh yeah, that taste didn't leave my mouth for like 4 hours. Yeah.
Go back to the smoothie idea. You wouldn't mix bitters with salty or bitters with other things, or not?
Like in a salad you can, but
Yeah.
smoothies is a whole nother ballgame. Okay, I never put bitters in smoothies. Like I said, I do bitters before, or I do bitters in salads and meals and things like that.
Okay.
But not in a smoothie. Like I said, it's just going to ruin it. So sweet herbs, there are benefits to sweet herbs. They're actually very healing. They have a tonifying effect on the spleen and the stomach. But we need them in such small amounts that I don't think really anybody in America has to go out of their way to make sure they're getting something sweet. Okay. We're definitely getting more than enough. But some of the healthy sweet plants would be things like cinnamon and dates, figs, you know, some of those types of foods. Okay, very strengthening effect on the muscles, the nervous system. So now we're going to go over some of the herbal properties. And I was trying to cut some stuff out because there's so many, but I ended up still coming up with like 2 pages of them. So we'll just go through them fairly quickly because, like I said, I really want to focus on Chinese tonic herbs because I think you guys can really benefit a lot from those. So first, alterative herbs, herbs that have an alterative effect on the body. So blood cleansers, okay, things that have a detoxifying effect, a cleansing effect on the blood. And some of those examples would be like burdock root, dandelion. Dandelion is going to fit a lot of different categories because it has so many benefits. And a lot of herbs are going to fit multiple categories. Yellow dock and red clover are some of the alterative herbs. Analgesic, a lot of you probably heard that term. Analgesic just means pain relief. So aspirin, for example, originally came from white willow bark. And so white willow, you can do white willow. It's not going to have a strong effect as a pharmaceutical drug. But a combination of herbs can have just as beneficial and strong of an effect. One that's not on here is turmeric. There's an active ingredient in turmeric called curcumin that's a very powerful anti-pain nutrient. So parasite-killing herbs, anthelmintic or parasiticide. Did you have were you raising your hand?
Yeah, just real quick.
Yes.
Can I eat lobelia, like, just eat the flower?
The flower, yes.
So from my garden, I could just...
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes. But you have to be careful with lobelia. Because, did I put emetic on here? No, I didn't. Okay. Between diuretic and emollient would be a classification of herbs called emetic. That means make you vomit.
Oh.
Okay? So lobelia would probably be the #1 herb in that category that makes people vomit. That being said, it's one of those healing herbs on the planet. It's amazing for asthma. There was an herbalist in the 1800s named Samuel Thompson, strictly using lobelia, cured thousands of people of asthma, just using that one plant. But yeah, lobelia you have to be careful, not do too much. But the flower's okay. The flowers are safe.
So what's not okay, leaves or
Yeah, you wouldn't want to do too many of those
just the
because
flower?
it'd make you sick to your stomach.
But I'm safe with the flower?
Yes.
Oh, thank you.
Okay. So we have, so anti-parasite herbs, garlic, black walnut, wormwood, pumpkin seed, cloves, fennel, fenugreek, antibiotic and antibacterial. I think the most powerful known ones are probably oregano and garlic. I almost exclusively use oregano for this purpose just because it works on everything. Oregano has been tested against every kind of stomach virus, flu virus, avian bird fly, E. coli, C. diff, H. pylori, any of those types of infectious issues that people get, oregano just knocks it out. Garlic to same to some extent, but you really need garlic raw to get those benefits, and it's very, very difficult to eat a lot of raw garlic if anybody's ever tried that. I used to, if I felt like I was getting sick, I do what was called a garlic shooter. I take a clove of garlic and press it with a squeeze of lemon and some water and just down it, and oh man, that will light you up. But it works. It works. So if anybody wants to try that little recipe, have at it.
It does work.
Anti-tumor, prevents or alleviate or breaks up tumors. Chaparral, red clover, astragalus, reishi, chaga. Medicinal mushrooms are amazing for that. Turmeric's amazing for that. Astringent herbs, witch hazel, schisandra, things that have a constricting effect on the tissues. Okay, witch hazel is commonly used for things like hemorrhoids, for example. Constricts the tissues to stop pain and inflammation from hemorrhoids. Carminative, these are going to be things that are going to help with digestion. Okay, so relieving gas, cramping in the bowels, stomach pain. So it's going to be a lot of your soothing herbs, peppermint, ginger. Ginger, in my opinion, is the single best herb you can take for digestion, period. Has the highest enzyme content of any food, and it has a soothing effect on, and it has a stimulating effect at the same time on the digestive tract. So ginger is an amazing, ginger tea, ginger capsules, anything like that, amazing for digestive issues. Cholagogue, which is like a really cool word, stimulates the flow of bile. Okay, so dandelion, again, is going to fit that category. Is that on there? Yeah, dandelion's on there. So things that stimulate bile flow. Okay, I'm just going to make a point here because I think it's critically important. One of the things I've realized, I've been back here in Kansas City and practicing now for about a year with people. And I'm finding one of the main things people are dealing with is liver congestion and gallstones, myself included. It's from years of growing up on the standard American diet, and everybody's having this problem. So one of the best thing you can do is learn what these cholagogue, as crazy of a word that is, learn what these herbs are. They're also going to fit, most of them are going to fit the bitter category, because all bitter herbs stimulate bile flow. And the worst thing we ever did is eat way too much sugar and stop eating fat. Okay? When you stop eating fat, you don't force your gallbladder to work and to squeeze and to pump out, those stones and things that are forming. For a while, people were doing like no fat diets. I mean, that is madness. That is like a gallstone waiting to happen. So yellow dock, gentian, dandelion, you can usually find those in a formula, like a grape bitters or a Swedish bitters formula. But those are very important. Anybody who's diabetic, I always make sure has bitters or cholagogues to stimulate bile flow from the liver and from the gallbladder. Demulcents, things that soothe and moisten. You could also call them mucilagid. That's not in here as a category. So mucilaginous type of herbs that have a coating, soothing, healing effect on the intestinal tract. Hands down, my favorite one for that is slippery elm. Just to give you a funny example, when I worked in Vegas, there was a lady who had horses, and her horses would get ulcers. I don't know what was causing the ulcers in the horse, but every time the ulcer would act up in the horse, she'd come in, she'd get a couple of pounds of slippery elm, she'd feed it to the horses, and they were perfectly fine for 6 months or whatever, until, for whatever reason, the ulcers flared up again. But it has such a soothing and healing effect on the intestinal tract. Slippery elm is amazing for that. Slippery elm, just random, worthless fact, because I have lots of those. George Washington in Valley Forge, I think it was, his army almost exclusively survived on slippery elm when they were struggling to get food and supplies. They were eating the bark of the slippery elm tree. Marshmallow is another good one for that. Licorice root. Licorice is amazing for healing the intestines and for healing ulcers as well. Diaphoretic, things that induce sweating. Okay, so if you have a cold or a flu or something like that, and you want to stimulate the healing process of the body to eliminate those toxins from the body, Hippocrates said, "Give me a fever and I can cure any disease." Okay, that's the body's natural way to fight infections. So you can assist that process. Again, I'll say my favorite one, and this again is ginger. Amazing, 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 amazing. At the same time, this is fascinating. Ginger is one of the best ways to break a fever. Okay, that's what Hippocrates used ginger for, is to break fevers. So, for example, when I have somebody calls me, a couple of times people have called me and they have a young child who's running a fever of, say, get into that danger zone where it's like 104 and they're really concerned about the child. Make a ginger tea, you know, make a compress out of it and put the child like in a bath and put the ginger over them, and it literally breaks the fever in 30 minutes. Fever drops. So, diuretics increase the flow of urine. So people that are having water retention, kidney issues, lymphatic swelling, edema, kidney stones, bladder infections, all those types of things. Parsley, uva ursi, juniper, corn silk. Corn silk works great for children that wet the bed beyond the age where they should be wetting the bed, because it strengthens the bladder. FYI, anybody needs to relay that to someone. I will make a point here that these natural diuretics are not overly stimulating. They're safe, they're natural. It stimulates the natural flow of urine from the body. Diuretics that you take that are pharmaceutical are forcing the action on the body in a superficial way, much more dangerous. So it's always better to take something natural. Emollient, softens, soothing, protecting the skin. Expectorant, I guess you could put lobelia in the, it's not listed on there, but emetic, again, makes you vomit. Expectorant expels mucus from the lungs. Okay, so very important when you have congested lungs. People dealing with asthma have infections in their lungs and things like that. They need something to get all that junk out. Mullein is an amazing one for that. And I'll tell you, mullein grows all over here. It's all over Shawnee Mission Park. You can actually roll up the leaves and smoke the leaves, and it will literally pull all the congestion and phlegm out of your lungs like that. So, I know, it's always a joke when you talk about smoking a plant, right? So, but that's what Native Americans did for their lung congestion forever, is mullein. Now, if you don't want to smoke it, now of course smoking works best for the lungs because that goes straight to the lungs, right? You can drink a tea, you know, there's other ways you can do it, but that's the fastest way to heal congestion from the lungs. Galactagogue, another awesome word, increases the flow of mother's milk. So dandelion again, fenugreek and fennel, and then goat's root are excellent for that. And it works. I mean, it really works. Women that are having trouble with lactation, take those herbs, drink it in a tea, and it works. There's even a product you can get at Whole Foods. I think it's by Traditional Medicinals. It's called Mother's Milk Tea, and it really works for that. Hemostatic, things that stop bleeding or hemorrhaging. I've told the story a couple times before in classes, but people always freak out when I say it, but cayenne pepper does stop bleeding on an open wound. Have you experienced it?
Well, I know some people that keep it in their first aid kits.
Yeah, so it's a perfect herb to have in a first aid kit, not just for that, but it's the quickest herb to pull somebody out of a heart attack or a stroke immediately. It'll save them a trip to the hospital. So cayenne pepper is a great thing to have in your arsenal for sure, but it stops bleeding. The story that I always tell people is it was in Utah, and a guy almost cut his arm off completely with a saw, and his friend knew about the cayenne thing and literally went in and took the cayenne out of their cupboard and dumped it on his gaping open wound in his arm, and the paramedics showed up and just freaked out, like were chastising the guy, saying, you know, this guy's going to lose his arm, what are you doing, are you crazy? Took the guy to the hospital, and then the paramedics ended up calling his friend and saying, hey, we're sorry, we just want to let you know that you probably saved your friend's arm. And from that point on, the paramedics carried cayenne pepper with them in case they needed it in an emergency. Turmeric also has that effect. And contrary to what you might think, the cayenne pepper does not burn if you put it on an open wound. Okay?
Oh, it doesn't?
It does not burn. I've done it. I cut my finger with a knife and I just dumped cayenne pepper on it. Didn't feel a thing. Yeah?
And the heart attack thing, that was to ingest it?
Yeah, the heart attack, you would ingest it, absolutely. If you had cayenne, obviously you'd use whatever cayenne you have, but the best way to do it would be a liquid. So it goes straight into the bloodstream. Let's see, we got hepatic. Hepat means liver, so these are going to be herbs that benefit and heal the liver. Again, dandelion. And it's funny we mentioned dandelion in the beginning because it's like everything. But barberry. Barberry would also be a bitter. Milk thistle, very healing. Turmeric, gentian, another bitter. Chaga and reishi mushrooms. Probably my favorite thing for healing the liver is the mushrooms, the medicinal mushrooms, chaga and reishi mushrooms. Amazing, amazing for the liver. Laxative herbs. Number one selling over-the-counter drug in America is laxatives, unfortunately. It is what it is. You can, there's some natural things you can do there, but some of them are harsh, some of them are very stimulating, and you don't want to be reliant on it. You only want to use those types of things when you need them. Nervine herbs. Calms, quiet, nourishes, and strengthens the nervous system. See what's at the end of that list?
Yeah.
So, lobelia, skullcap, valerian, wild lettuce, hops. Those are all natural nervines. And let me just make a point. A lot of times, if you go in a health food store or something like that, you might not realize it. But a lot of the herbal products and the herbal blends are based off of some of these basic categories of herbs. Like, for example, I have a product, I could have brought some up now, but I have a product called Chill. And it is hops, valerian, and wild lettuce. And people take it instead of taking, what's that stuff, Xanax or whatever, to calm them down. People who are scared of flying or, things of that nature, they'll take it and it will calm and relax them. It will have just as strong of an effect. And it has those ingredients in it. Nutritive herbs. Nutritive herbs to me are foods. Okay, so it's one of the things we're going to focus on. You don't have to worry about really how much you're taking and what amounts and in what form and all those sorts of things. You can just be kind of free with them. Okay, so these are a lot of the things we consider foods. So they're going to be high in nutrients. Okay, so vitamins and minerals and good fats and carbohydrates and proteins and things that we need. So pretty much all your berries would fit this category. A lot of your fruits and vegetables are going to fit this category. It's nutritive herbs, if you want to call them herbs. But other things that aren't your daily on your daily food list that would be included in this is nettle, stinging nettle, one of the most nutritious foods on the planet. Another one that grows wild all over here. You can easily harvest nettle. Do you guys have nettle on your property?
No.
That's a bummer. Acerola cherry, camu, those are berries. Plantain, it's another weed that's in everybody's yard. Plantain and dandelion, by far the most two popular weeds in people's yards.
Oh, it's not the banana. It's not plantain. It's not,
no, that's A-N-E. A-I-N is the plant plantain.
Oh,
which,
okay, right.
by the way, it's the seeds from the plantain that is where psyllium comes from. Psyllium husk, the fiber. Yeah. So, and then milk thistle, and there's so many more than that. I just put a couple examples. Rejuvenative herbs, I list in the category of tonic herbs. Sedative herbs, again, something that calms and quiets the nervous system. Very similar to the nervine herbs. Stimulant herbs, it's going to be a lot of your hot herbs again, things that stimulate the body. One of the great things about stimulating herbs is that they can break up a lot of congestion in the body. So another benefit of cayenne, that will break up and eliminate mucus from the body like you wouldn't believe. It just goes through the body and just roots out congestion, whether it's from mucus, whether it's clots, blood clotting and things like that. Women who have menstruation issues and that are clotting, cayenne pepper can be very beneficial. So any kind of obstruction in the body, cayenne pepper will just circulate it out. So big fan of cayenne. Black pepper, ginger, cinnamon, some of the other ones. And then the tonic herbs. Tonic herbs are what we're going to really focus on. Tonic herbs like I said, I mean, the Chinese have been studying herbs forever, and I have a book, which, Dad, I think I got a couple books on my desk that I was going to show to people. There should be 2 books on top of each other. And the Chinese have studied thousands and thousands and thousands of plants, and they have their purpose for each one of them, but they chose 22, what they call the superior 22 Chinese tonic herbs. And what's great about them and is not only are they the most beneficial herbs for your body, but they're safe. They're totally safe to use. You're not going to overdo it. You're not going to OD on it. You know, even when we're talking about herbs that can be kind of dangerous, like lobelia, doing too much lobelia. I talked about in the last class, you know, the study by the Poison Control Center of America showed in 2009 that there was not one single death related to herbs. If you do too much lobelia, all you're going to do is throw up. I mean, yeah, that sucks, but it's not going to hurt anything. You know what I mean? So, but the great thing about the tonic herbs is you can do high amounts, you can do different forms of them, and they're going to be very beneficial to the body. So what makes up a tonic herb? A tonic herb, first of all, is something that's very safe. Okay, it's safe for all people of all ages. Okay, that's very important for it to be considered a tonic herb. The other reason it's called a tonic herb is because it tonifies the body, and it tonifies multiple systems of the body. So for example, there's some herbs that are like, it just is great for the lungs, or it's just great for the heart. Tonic herbs benefit multiple body systems. Some of them literally benefit the entire body. The nervous system, the skeletal system, the reproductive system, the cardiovascular system, the lymphatic system. They tonify and strengthen all the different body systems, or at least multiple body systems. So those are some of the, you know, the requirements to be considered a tonic herb. So I'm going to go over a few of those tonight at the end, but just a couple of notes. So those are the classifications of herbs. There's more, but you know, I think that's enough. Okay, and you don't have to necessarily memorize all those because it's not important, but that's what I want to focus on. And if you want to get more into it, you know, obviously there's lots of books, and we're going to do more classes. In the future, just so you know, in I think the next class, we're going to get more into formulations, how to take herbs, what different forms you can take them in, like decoctions and teas and infusions and poultices, and like kind of explain all that kind of stuff. Because that's one of the biggest questions people have. Well, okay, that's great for me. How do I take it? Well, again, that's the great thing about nutritive and tonic herbs is you don't have to be an expert on how to take it. You can throw it in tea. You can throw it in a soup. You can, you know, I use some of those as like thickeners in my soup, like ashwagandha and astragalus and things like that. You were talking about shakes and smoothies. Man, it's so easy just to throw some of that stuff in a shake or smoothie and you're set. You know, so there's lots of ways we can take them. So real quick on herbal safety, just a few things on herbal safety. Just this is more for if you're not using nutritive herbs or tonic herbs, or you're out in the wild trying to, like, you got your little book and you're trying to figure out if you can eat this or not or whatever. So first one is nutritive herbs are specific foods and just as safe as any vegetable. Okay, so again, that's why I like nutritive herbs and tonic herbs. Know your source. Make sure the companies you're buying your herbs from are a quality source, organic or wild-crafted. A lot of people will buy herbs that are just really poor quality. If you go to a lot of herb stores, even like an herb store, like that's all they do is herbs. I'm not going to mention any names, but they put all their herbs in glass containers under fluorescent lights. It does not take more than a couple weeks to completely destroy all the nutritive content of those herbs from that light exposure. That's why all my herbs are in stainless steel canisters. So they're airtight and they're completely away from light. It's very important when you're storing herbs. You always store herbs in a cool, dry place. And we talked about last class, I'm a big fan of wild-crafted. So that's finding herbs that are harvested in their natural environment. Okay, you're going to find that a lot with a lot of your medicinal mushrooms like chaga and reishi and a lot of plants. It depends on which one it is, but if they're not grown on a farm and they're grown in the wild, they're much more powerful. If you are in the wild and you're not 100% sure, do not try it. Many herbs do look alike. I told this story once before. It's pretty funny, so I'll tell it again. I was in Hawaii, and has anybody heard of taro? T-A-R-O? You have?
Yeah.
Okay. You know anything about it?
Isn't it poisonous?
Okay.
If it's not cooked, I think.
Yeah, so here's the thing. Taro. I got a list. I was in Hawaii and I was like just backpacking through the jungles and eating stuff off the trees and just having a blast, right? But I had a list of what the poisonous plants were in Hawaii. Well, taro is a root vegetable, and it's like potatoes to people who, like in Ireland, that were living off potatoes back in the 1800s. Okay, it's a staple crop. It was a starchy vegetable, and it provided a lot of energy and nutrients and carbohydrates to the people. So it was one of their main foods, and they mash it up and they put it like in everything. Okay, tourists joke about it because they think it tastes horrible, and they joke how it's like in everything and it doesn't taste good. But anyway, so the taro root is one of the most harvested foods. Like you'll see fields and fields and fields of them. But in my book, it was listed as a poisonous plant. And I'm like, that's interesting. So I was at a botanical garden, and we were getting ready to go on a tour, and there was taro there. Well, the root is the food, okay? The poisonous part is the leaf, okay? Just like kava kava, for example. Kava kava, you don't do the aerial parts, you don't do the leaves. It's only the root that's medicinal. The leaves are poisonous. So you have to know these things. So I read that the taro leaves were poisonous, but then I was reading the side effects of what would happen if you ate a taro leaf, and I don't know, I just wanted to experience and see if that was what would happen to me if I tried it. Because it wasn't, like, could be deadly or anything like that. So I'm like, why not? Let's try it. So I took literally, and I'm telling you this because so you know not to be stupid and try these kind of things. So I took literally a leaf probably the size of my fingernail. I mean, we're talking a leaf this big. And I just put it on my tongue. That's all I did. My tongue started to swell up. It felt like there were like shards of glass in my mouth. And then my throat started to swell up.
Oh my gosh.
And every time I swallowed, my spit, it felt like glass going down my throat. And that's all I had was that itty bitty tiny piece. Okay? So when you see a field guide or something, or somebody tells you a plant's poisonous, they mean it. Okay?
What did you do?
Oh, I was fine. It wore off after about 20 minutes.
Oh.
Yeah. But I mean, imagine if I would have done like a big old leaf of it or something, And those taro leaves are big. They're big old leaves. They almost look like that, the big elephant ear leaves, but smaller. So anyway, be careful, if you're not sure. And actually, that example is kind of a good way. I learned this from what's the dude on the Wild show? The
Crocodile
Into the
Hunter?
Wild.
Oh.
No, Into the Wild. Not Into the Wild. That's the movie. What's the guy's name that does the show on Discovery Channel?
Bear Grylls?
Bear Grylls. Yeah, I learned this from him. He's like a wilderness survival guy. They drop him in the middle of nowhere, and he has to survive until he finds it. Yeah. So if you're not sure, and again, not that you guys are going to do this. I'm just sharing information. But if you're ever in a survival situation, and you need to eat something, you're not sure what it is. That's what you do. You take a little tiny bit of the leaf, and you literally just touch it to your lip and see if you have a reaction. You wait 5 minutes. If you don't have a reaction, you touch it to your tongue. You wait 5 minutes. You chew it up a little bit. You wait 5 minutes. Okay? And if you go through that whole process and you don't have any reaction at all, it's safe to eat. So I learned that from Bear. Thank you, Bear. As a general rule of thumb, you always take herbs 90 minutes before or after pharmaceutical drugs. Okay? Just so in case there's any interaction. Read labels and dosages carefully. Choose common and available herbs. I always tell people if they're taking some type of a herb and they don't see a benefit or an effect or something for it, and they take it for a month or two, try something different. Okay? Especially if you're trying to heal something specific, or if you're trying to get energy or something. I mean, especially when we talk about the tonic herbs. I mean, you should feel an effect. And I'll give you some examples of some of the effects I felt from tonic herbs. And if anybody else has felt any benefits from taking any kind of herbs or tonic herbs or anything like that, share it. I mean, raise your hand, share it with everybody else in the class, because I think that's important. Don't believe false claims about miraculous cures. That's the modern mindset, that there's a pill for every ill. It doesn't work that way. Pay attention to your body and any reactions you might have, and very, very careful with pregnant women. There's just very, very few herbs you recommend for pregnant women. There's a very short list of those. I'm not going to go over all this, but this is herbs to be careful with specific conditions. So I talked about pregnancy, people have ulcers, high blood pressure because of the blood thinning property of some of these herbs. So you want to look over that list too. So I give an example on the second to the last page, third to the last page, the nutritive herbs. Okay, I'm not going to talk too much about this, but again, this is going to be like fruits and vegetables, all your berries. So like this acai berry, everybody's all crazy about, okay? That would be a nutritive herb, so you could do lots and lots of that. That's fine. Acerola cherry, all your grasses are going to fit in this category. Okay, so alfalfa grass, barley grass, oat grass, wheat grass. Okay, these are foods, very beneficial, high in nutrients, vitamins, minerals, cleansing, detoxifying effect on the body. So you can do lots and lots of those. All of your sea vegetables would fit into this category. So kelp, bladderwrack, nori, kombu. There's lots and lots of those. So you can do lots of those. Mesquite, which is one of my favorite foods, would fit in this category. Royal jelly, bee pollen would fit. I don't think I put that on the list, but bee pollen would fit into that category. So all the bee products would fit into that category. Their food's amazing. Spirulina and chlorella, so your algae as well would all fit into this category. Some of these green foods you could literally live on if you had to. Chlorella and spirulina would probably be a couple good examples of that. Just complete protein, have all the B vitamins, just loaded in nutrients. Watercress. So, like I said, this is nowhere near an exhaustive list, but just an example of some of the nutritive herbs. Okay, so any questions so far? No? Okay. So, Chinese tonic herbs. Okay, this is exciting. You can write books on each one of these herbs, and there are books on all these herbs because they've been studied for so long. There's so many research studies done on these herbs, and they're so safe and they're so amazing. And just start to put them in your body and notice how your body changes, and the effects you feel are tremendous. I'll give you just a couple examples. One is I knew I had weak adrenals just from years of eating sugar, and I was exhausted and I was tired all the time, and I knew I had to build my adrenal glands back up. So the 3 herbs I did for that were holy basil, licorice root, and astragalus. And deer antler. Deer antler is probably the big one. So deer antler was a spray, and then every morning I did holy basil and licorice root tea. And I tell you what, within a couple weeks, I felt amazing. And the effects are multiple. Again, that's why they're called tonic herbs, because you might take it for X, but notice that Y and Z is also better in your health. So I was taking it for adrenals to increase my energy level so I didn't crash in the afternoon, I didn't feel fatigued and things like that. But what I noticed at the same time is that I felt so much more calm and relaxed and at peace on the inside of my body. My brain chatter was less. I was more patient. I've always had a problem with being patient. I'm more patient. I think I've slowed down some because I'm always like 1 billion miles an hour. So I've slowed down some. I talk a little bit slower. I still talk fast, but I talk slower. Much more grounded and balanced. Okay, that's the effect that these herbs can have on you. Because again, you think of the world we live in, high stress, tons of pollutants, tons of contaminants, just a million things being thrown at us all the time. These tonic herbs can really help to balance you back out and reconnect you and rebalance your system. So it's one of the reasons I'm so excited about them. So what you can do is you kind of learn some of the basics of some of the herbs, and there's a lot more detail. This is one of my favorite books. It's called The Ancient Wisdom of Chinese Tonic Herbs. It's written by Ron Teagarden. He trained over in Asia with a master herbalist over there and learned Chinese medicine firsthand, and he's got a shop in California, a practice, and he sells products. He's got a website and all that. Ron Teagarden is his name, T-E-E, Garden, G-U-A-R-D-E-N. But when you read this book, and especially read about the 22 Chinese tonic herbs, you'll be like, it'll make your head spin when you see how many benefits like just one plant has. It's absolutely mind-boggling. So I put some of them on here for you. And I'm going to talk about a few of them. And again, if you have questions along the way, just ask. But there's just, I can't even do it justice, okay? Because again, it's just ironic how doctors in conventional medicine will say not to take herbs or don't do that or that's not safe. I mean, they have no idea. And there's this completely flipped upside down misconception that pharmaceutical drugs have been studied and herbs haven't. I mean, that could not be farther from the truth. I mean, look up Reishi Mushroom and see how many tens of thousands of studies that have been done in universities around the entire world. You could fill volumes and volumes and volumes of books on any one of these. Reishi mushrooms, Chaga mushrooms probably being studied more than anything right now. They found it has such amazing anti-cancer and anti-tumor effects. They are studying the heck out of this thing all over the world. Chaga keeps getting more and more expensive because people are finding out about it. Okay, these herbs have been studied, 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 studied. They've been written about by the Egyptians to Hippocrates, the Greeks and Romans, and everybody in between. Okay, and they're still being studied today. So, unfortunately, in America, you don't hear about it. You know, it costs money to do studies. Government's not going to give you money to study reishi mushroom. You know, government's going to give you money to study drugs. So, unfortunately, there's not a lot of that research being done here. So, if you want to look at really good research, you have to go outside of the United States, unfortunately. Asia, amazing. Japan, China. Germany, also fantastic for doing lots of research and studies on herbs. So, how am I on time? Hey, yeah. Okay. Well, let me just go over a couple of these, okay? Just because they're so awesome. Reishi, known as the supreme protector, the herb of good fortune. Anti-aging, immune system modulator. So all these tonic herbs do this. They modulate the immune system. So in other words, if it's overactive, it'll bring it down. If your immune system's low, it'll bring it up. Okay? Experience I have with medicinal mushrooms. Drink it in the morning, perks you up, you're alert, you feel amazing. You take it a night before bed, it knocks you out, makes you go to sleep. Okay? That's what tonic herbs do. Okay? They give your body what your body needs at that time. Reishi mushroom can help people get off steroids. Okay? People that are on prednisone and steroidal medications. Reishi can help people get off of steroids. You can read some of the other things. Amazing for cancer and chemotherapy. Anybody who's going through chemotherapy, I give them reishi mushroom. Look at the name of it, Supreme Protector. Okay, so you're poisoning your body with radiation and chemo. Reishi's going to protect you. Okay, I have a good friend of mine in Las Vegas who had a tumor removed in his colon, and he was going through radiation and chemo. And I said, hey, would you be open to this? And he said, sure. So while he was going through radiation and chemo, he took reishi mushroom, and I put him on red clover and some blood cleansing herbs and some other things. And he said, when I went to the chemo room, he said, when everybody else looked like they were just literally dying. I mean, it's really sad to go in these places. He felt fine. I mean, he went through a month of chemo and felt nauseous once. Okay, you don't hear of that. Okay, so there's things you can do to protect yourself, even if you do choose, you know, to go the conventional route. Ginsengs, and by the way, the most used herbs in Chinese medicine, number one, are the ginsengs. So I got Panax ginseng listed here, Siberian ginseng, which is Eleuthero, and American ginseng. Those are the most commonly used herbs in Chinese medicine. The second most used herb in Chinese medicine is deer antler. Okay, and actually the most common herb used in Chinese medicine formulas, because it has a synergizing effect to make every formula work better, is licorice root. Okay, so that's why when I took my holy basil for my adrenals, and it helps with stress and anxiety and all those things, I put a little bit of licorice root in it because it helps it have a synergistic effect. A little bit of licorice root helps in every formula, especially when it comes to Chinese tonic herbs. Eleuthero is a great one for athletes. So I'll just talk about some just kind of specific things. Specific herbs good for specific things. Ginsengs are great for increasing energy without having the caffeine effect, which is going to give you the jitteriness, you know, the swing effect. Siberian ginseng, the Eleuthero specifically, is great for athletes. Okay, this is one of the herbs that a lot of the Russian athletes were taking in the 80s when they were dominating the Olympics. Was the Eleuthero. Helps with endurance, and it also helps with recovery. exercise. Astragalus. One of the nicknames for astragalus is the most advanced herb for beginners. Again, because it's a tonic herb, you can do large amounts of it. Has a calming and relaxing effect on the inside of your body, but gives you energy at the same time. Amazing, amazing, amazing for the immune system. Best herbs for the immune system, I would say, are the medicinal mushrooms and astragalus. Okay, deer antler, the most potent herb for yang, jing energy. That's your life force. That's your battery pack. So that's like your kidneys and your adrenal glands. That whole area right there. Deer antler is the best for that. Deer antler, I use it a lot. I give it to a lot of people, and people have seen tremendous benefits from it. But it has a rejuvenative effect like nothing you've ever seen. I mean, people think like deer antler, that sounds weird, and it does kind of sound weird, but it's been used in Chinese medicine for 5,000 years. People who live in New Zealand, I have an example. One of my clients, she went to a medical doctor, an MD, and the MD, she told the MD what I was giving her, and the MD is like, oh, that all sounds really good. I'm like, what kind of crazy MD is that? Well, it turns out she's from New Zealand, this MD, and she told her about the deer antler. She goes, oh, that's fantastic. She goes, everybody in New Zealand takes deer antler because they know that it's the best thing they can put in their body for anti-aging, for longevity. It regenerates the cells of the body, helps the cells to communicate properly. It regenerates the nervous system. It reverses diabetes. Deer antler, on and on and on and on about the benefits. Anybody who's trying to heal from an injury, car accident, spinal injury, anything like that, deer antler, amazing for rejuvenating the nervous system. Let's see, Cordyceps, another medicinal mushroom, so it can have a lot of the same benefits as the other medicinal mushrooms. Let's talk a little bit about Gynostemma. Gynostemma is jogulin. Has anybody here had jogulin? You have? Nobody else? Oh, man. Okay, this is the mushroom of immortality in China, is its nickname. I'm sorry, this is the immortality herb in China. Okay, the mushroom of immortality is shaga. Okay, but this is the immortality herb in China, jogulin. They basically use it as a cure-all. And what's crazy about jogulin is this thing is like a weed. It's like a creeping vine. You plant it in your house, and by the next year, like you plant it in the front yard, and the next year it's already in the backyard taking over everything. Okay? And I think the word actually means like creeping vine or something like that. But if you look at the things, and I just listed a few of them, but it helps with bronchitis, obviously anti-aging and longevity, prevents senility, reduces fatigue, increases vigor, reduces oxygen deficiency, strengthens the mind, sexual function, nervous system, reduces pain, helps with weight control. It'll actually help overweight people lose weight, and it'll help people who are underweight gain weight. Balances blood sugar, reduces obesity, lowers cholesterol and triglycerides, normalizes blood pressure, increases lean muscle, digestion, great for cancer, inhibiting growth of cancer cells, listed in tons of medical journals over in Asia for cancer. Migraines, insomnia, ulcers, hemorrhoids, neuralgia, rheumatism, prostate, pneumonia, blah, blah, blah. Jogulin is awesome. And the other cool thing about jogulin is it tastes really good. I love jogulin. I have jogulin right now. Yeah. I love jogulin. So that's a great one. Again, for people, just put it in your body, do it every day for a month, and see how it makes you feel. And they're not expensive. Goji berries, Lycium, also known as wolfberry. In China, they call it the happy berry. It's one of the highest known sources of vitamin C in the world. It's a secretagogue. We didn't even list that in the types of herbs. Secretagogues. They stimulate your hormonal system to secrete hormone properly. So it has a hormone balancing effect. One thing they've noticed as people age is our glands start to shrink. Okay? So if you take secretagogues, things that stimulate hormone production, it'll keep your glands healthy. Okay, so good fats do that. Herbs high in vitamin C do that. Noni does that. Goji does that. Most of the berries do that. So goji is one of the best for that. Morinda root, which is noni, which we kind of just talked about. Tastes horrible raw. The Hawaiians don't even eat it as a food. It's a medicine. It's medicinal. Have you tried it before? Yeah. A lot of people have tried noni. It's pretty nasty. When I was in Hawaii, I ate it right off the tree just to see if it was as bad as everybody says it was. Yeah. Not poisonous, just doesn't taste good. Schisandra berries. Little time on Schisandra just because, again, it just has so many unbelievable benefits, but especially known to be one of the best herbs for women. It's in almost all female tonic herb formulas used in China. All of the women who were in royalty, like the imperial court in China, all were on Schisandra berries because they believed it was the best herb that they could put in their body for youth and vitality, to keep their skin healthy, glowing, no wrinkles, just keep their body and their skin really, really, really healthy. Also has mind calming, pain alleviating effects. Great herb for the mind, improving memory. Sexual function, helps the skin to be radiantly beautiful. Another fascinating thing about Schisandra, and again, I can't remember if it's next class or the one after, but we're going to do a taste testing of a bunch of herbs. Schisandra has the craziest taste. Has anybody tasted Schisandra? You have? Did you notice? I don't know if you had a good Schisandra or not, but you notice how it kind of dances around your mouth? Yeah. It's the craziest thing. Because that the different parts of your mouth, is where the different tastes are. And if you put Schisandra on your tongue, you can just feel it like dance around your mouth because all of the tastes are in there. It's the only herb that has all 5 tastes in it. So it's a great herb for digestion as well because of that purpose. And great for sexual function. It's in pretty much all male sexual function formulas in Chinese medicine as well. And I listed some of the benefits there. And again, it's going to give you energy, without the caffeine. Another great benefit of these tonic herbs. Polygonum, faux tea is kind of the weird American name. I don't know where that comes from, but nobody calls it that. He Shou Wu is probably the most common name for this. Another great one for athletes, great for the livers and the kidney. And another great female herb. The story behind faux tea is amazing. I have like this 20-page article on faux tea, and the story was about this 56-year-old Chinaman who was totally gray and losing his hair and never had any, wasn't married, didn't have any children, and he decided, hey, I want to look young again and get a wife and have some kids. And so the story goes is he started taking faux tea, He Shou Wu, and his hair grew back his normal color, jet black. He got married, and I think it was something crazy, like he went into father like 28 children, lived to be like 100 and like all this stuff. So it's kind of a legend, but who knows, But anyway, it is well known to have that effect to reverse aging, to reverse graying hair, especially, if it's not too late. Asparagus, Codonopsis, I didn't really talk a lot about. I take Codonopsis myself. It's great for the liver. It's great for bringing blood flow to the liver, if people kind of have a weak liver. Epimedium, which is horny goatweed. And yes, horny goatweed is what it sounds like. But what's funny about the translation of epimedium, it actually means an herb for the man who likes sex too much, like a goat. But it does increase sex drive in both men and women, but it also has a lot of other benefits too. It's known to lower blood pressure, another immune system modulator, listed in China as an herb that prevents cancer and promotes longevity. Eucommia bark, licorice root. Licorice root, like I mentioned, it's in almost every formula. They call it the servant herb. Okay, so it assists in all the other formulas. So again, it's a great herb to add to a formula for a synergistic type of effect. So some of the benefits, building the blood, strengthening digestion, building muscle tissue, so used a lot by athletes and dancers, anti-inflammatory. It is one of the main detoxification herbs used in Chinese medicine. It will rid the body of poisons. So a great herb to take for, I guess, any of us really, but especially if you're around chemicals a lot, like say you work in a beauty salon or you work in a brake shop and in a car shop, or anywhere where you're exposed to a lot of chemicals and toxins. Licorice root will keep purifying the blood and keep those toxins out of the system so that they don't accumulate. Nodo ginseng, pearl. It's just when I saw pearl as one of the 22 tonic herbs, I just thought that was funny. It's like, how do you eat a pearl, right? Well, it's literally they grind it up, and they found that it has tons of amino acids, all the minerals. I mean, it's from a sea source. It's from the ocean, so it's going to have lots of nutrients in it. But they found it to actually be one of the best things to help proper replication of your cells at the cellular level, your DNA and RNA. So kind of like deer antler, it's going to have that rejuvenative effect. Used as a beauty tonic. They called it, I thought this was just fascinating, that they said pearl was one of the greatest secrets of beautiful women in the Orient. So again, they've been using this thousands of years, and it's kind of been one of the women's secrets to stay young and beautiful. Romania, Dong Yi is the last one, Dong Quai, one of the best herbs for women. Again, it's in almost all women's hormone balancing formulas. Helps to regulate menstruation and helps to balance hormones. And also in a lot of beauty products as well. And then I'm really surprised ashwagandha isn't listed on the 22 superior Chinese tonic herbs, but it's not. So I just gave you a list of some other ones. Holy basil, one of my favorite herbs on the planet. Maca, Peruvian root vegetable that is loaded in good fats and protein. Shaga mushroom, ashwagandha, ginkgo biloba, gotu kola. There's others, but that's a great list to start. Most of them I have. So like I said, you don't have to be an expert on these. You just learn some basic properties and see which ones work for you. You work out a lot. Try some of the herbs that are well known for athletes. Try Hisho and the Cordyceps and some of the medicinal mushrooms and things like that. Ashwagandha, one of the best herbs for the thyroid. One of the best overall tonics as well. So that's it. Any questions?
Talk a little bit about the
Cordyceps? Yeah, it's a medicinal mushroom, so it's going to have a lot of the benefits of the other medicinal mushrooms. Cordyceps specifically is well known to open up the lungs, the respiratory tract, so it's going to help with breathing. A lot of athletes use it because it increases lung capacity. Okay, so a lot of runners, marathon runners, things like that will use Cordyceps because of the strengthening effect it has on the lungs. So a very good herb for athletes, a very good mushroom for athletes.